With 1 year to the next general elections, they are set for the 9th of August 2022, literally 364 days to go. Now, political players, including major political parties and their leaders, have begun making preliminary moves ahead of what is expected to be a grueling march to the election date. And for the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, the preparations to the polls have begun in earnest and are laden with a heavy burden of high expectations, as Chemutai Goin now reports.
The next general election takes place the second Tuesday of August next year, in line with the provisions of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. And for political players and the IEBC, the countdown to August 9th, 2022 has already begun. For the IEBC, the headache begins over preliminaries such as updating its voter register, reviewing the polling stations in line with the changes in population, and the all-important procurement of electoral materials.
There's no reason why IEBC should print all ballot papers outside Kenya. There's probably a good reason to invest in a lot of security features for presidential elections ballot papers, and perhaps for governors. But why do you want to print millions and millions of ballot papers out of Kenya to conduct MC elections or even MP elections?
We cannot print ballot papers here in Kenya. We have to print them very far from Kenya just because of the trust issues again.
Traditionally, voting day is a flawless affair in Kenya. Polling stations open at 6 a.m. Queues of peaceful voters begin to form as early as 3 in the morning. And close to the time polling ends at 5 p.m. Queues would even be longer. It is always a spectacle to observe. Pictures of Kenyans who have braved the cold weather in the morning and led to the scorching sun as they come out to exercise their constitutional right to vote. But there appears to be a disconnect between the period within which a vote is cast and when it is counted. The delay more often than not contributing to heightened tensions. Election laws and governance expert Felix Odhiambo avers that the results management system is the elephant in the room and one of the greatest impediments to securing a credible election.
In every election since '92, but mostly 2007, 2013 and 2017, the integrity and the credibility of the results as declared by the Electoral Commission was a major issue. In 2017, this was one of the issues that caused the Supreme Court to invalidate the elections. The irregularities and illegalities in the course of results or the results transmission. In
the 2017 general election, there were 40,883 polling stations across the country, arising from the 19,611,423 registered voters. This figure bound to change as IEBC updates the voter register to reflect the population change as per the 2019 census. And in a bid to fast-track the voting and tallying process, IEBC capped the number of voters per polling station to not more than 700. But in the just concluded Kiambaa by-elections, which had 154 polling stations and a little over 95,000 registered voters, the challenge of timely transmission of results was evident. While polling stations were closed at 5:20 p.m., it was until 13 hours later that the winner was declared, and this was just a by-election, with less than 50% turnout. What then happens to a national election with over 20 million registered voters? In the general election, the law gives the Electoral Commission until a week to declare the presidential election results. This after all the Form 34s have been received and the figures match with those electronically transmitted by the respective polling stations and constituency tallying centres.
I hereby declare Mr. Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta.
In 2017, however, IEBC announced the results within 3 days, according to the Supreme Court, which invalidated the election. Some of the forms used to validate the results were unverifiable, while others presented lacked the requisite security features, that is, serial numbers and watermarks. Amid all this, the question that abounds is, how long after the polling stations close should results begin to stream in, taking into account that some may open late while some may have disputes?
In the context of the general election, the citizens are usually very, very, very anxious with respect to the presidential results. Now, if you delay that unnecessarily, then in this country, and given the election that we are likely to have in 2017, that anxiety, as happened in 2007, may potentially be explosive. Remember, 2007, the anxiety that surrounded the management of results. And so technology must work.
Felix Odhiambo proposes that Elections General Regulations 2012 be amended to have other players in the management of results, for instance, the media.
The country has forgotten this, but President Mwai Kibaki was declared president on the basis of the provisional results as tallied by the media, Citizen TV, KTN, Nation, and so on and so forth. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta conceded defeat in that elections on the basis of the provisional results as announced by the media. The Electoral Commission of Kenya then was way behind the media transmission. And so that is a progressive reform. We have done it in this country in two elections, as well as in 2005 referendum.
In 2016, Maina Kiai, Khelef Khalifa and Tirop Kitur petitioned the High Court seeking to have the constituency presidential election results as announced by the respective constituency returning officers be declared final. A matter a three-judge bench comprising Agri Muchelule, Weldon Correa and Chacha Mwite agreed with.
Maina Kiai case, with respect to the presidential elections, established the principle as it is in Article 86 of the Constitution, that results from the polling station should be transmitted directly to the National Tallying Center with respect to the presidential votes. And so that alone also should inject a measure of efficiency. But yes, the truth of the matter is we have to really improve on how we manage results.
Another unresolved matter is the issue of the server. Will it be located locally, or will we trust another jurisdiction to keep it safe? And can it be opened for scrutiny where an issue arises?
Technology is dynamic, and you have to go with a technology that is, efficient and can deliver a transparent process.
There is, however, a ray of hope as the recruitment of the 4 commissioners enters its final stages, easing some pressure from the 3 commissioners. The commission can now fully roll out processes that had stalled. The next 365 days will be a running trial for the IEBC, a trial whose judgment will be determined by its conduct of the next general elections slated for August 9th next year. Depleted in numbers and battered in image after the 2017 elections, IEBC will be seeking to not only redeem its reputation, but also that of presidential elections, which was declared by the Supreme Court in 2017 as a pathetic show. That credibility race begins at the very latest right now. Chemutai Goin, Citizen TV, Nairobi.